Hey Mike, you know how we were talking about flash sync speed and making sure that you stay below 1/200th of a second when you're using flash? Well, what happens if I'm outside and it's really bright and I'm trying to take photos with flash? Well, you've got a couple of options here, right? The first one is you can use your aperture to make the overall scene darker rather than using your shutter speed. However, if it is a bright sunny day, you may end up with an aperture of like f11 or f16 just to keep your shutter speed below 1/200th of a second. Your next option is to use an ND filter to cut out the light so you don't have to drop your aperture. This way you can keep that nice depth of field without having to increase your shutter speed beyond 1/200th of a second. The only downside with this method though is that you probably will need a very powerful flash to get through that ND filter that you put on the front of your lens. The final option and the most practical solution is to just use high-speed sync on your flash. This basically allows your camera to work at shutter speeds higher than 1/200th of a second when it's using flash. It does this by pulsing the flash during the exposure rather than one single flash at the start. Using this method means that the entire sensor is illuminated due to the pulsing flash and no banding occurs. Now, do keep in mind that not every flash allows you to do this. It's a professional setting that some budget flashes may not have, so make sure you check if your flash can operate in high-speed sync before you count on using it. The other thing to take into account is that high-speed sync uses much more power than just regular flash mode since it's pulsing multiple times. This means that the maximum flash brightness is reduced slightly and the overall exposure will change depending on your shutter speed, so it is a little bit more challenging than just using regular flash. Give it a go though and just play around. You'll figure it out soon enough.